If the trees could sign us language, then the forest would return. If we just listen closely, we may just find that we have no respect in this cosmos, as far as we can see. So look within, find your source, the source beyond all names, and there you'll find all creatures, and you are one and the same. Look within, ask yourself, just what part do you play? And if the earth could speak your tongue, ah yeah, what would she say?
You know, I think the reason why these films are resonating with people, Mark, is because so many people are looking for that freedom, you know, and they're not finding it in that world, in that technology and all their little new toys, and you know, the toy breaks and they got to get another one, and it's just really stressful. Most people these days have two jobs. Most families, the guy and the gal both work, and then they let somebody else raise their children. But you know, I didn't realize there were so many people of all walks of life that want to support someone like myself, you know, that lives really simple. You know, like once I was up north on North Queensland, and I built a wagon. I went to an op shop and got 2 old bicycles really cheap, and got myself a piece of sheet metal, and I bolted these 2 bicycles together about that far apart, and made this platform up on top of the bicycles, and I took the handlebars and put them around the other way and put extensions on them. Then I made myself a harness, and then I wove a big basket up on top of the bicycles that I could sleep in. I had little windows and little dolls hanging off of it, and all my natural medicines just hanging all over it, like feathers and shells, and then I made a harness for it, and I pulled it out of Caranda. I built it in Caranda, and then I pulled it out through the tablelands. For me, it's like the last 12 years I've been really trying to get out of these cars. You know, it's just walk everywhere and get a really intimate relationship with the earth. And so I've been trying all different ways. I've had everything from a bullock that would follow me everywhere, little horses, like I just spent 2 years up in North Queensland with a little Shetland crossed with a miniature, and she'd carry about 50 kilos for me out through the bush. But when I was pulling that cart, I was on the road because I couldn't really get off into the bush, so I was pulling it on the road, and then when I'd get to these special places, I'd pull it off a little ways and then go bush with it. But in the wagon I had plenty of storage, so I could carry things like pumpkins. When I'd be going along, a lot of people would give me things like pumpkins, hands of bananas. One time a person gave me about 10 coconuts, and I could put it underneath my basket, underneath my cart there in the storage area, and take it with me. So anyway, I was pulling this cart along the highway between Mariba and Mount Malloy, and I must have had 20 cars in 25 kilometers pull up and want to know what I'm doing. And when they'd talk to me and everything, and I'd tell them I'm trying to get out of these cars, I'm trying to find an alternative, you know, where I can just walk and still carry a few things with me. And they'd end up giving me a $50, $100 even one guy gave me, $20. By the time I got to Mariba in 25 kilometers, I had $300, and I started out with nothing. And it was all walks of life, you know. Like, this one guy was a policeman, and he pulled up and he told me he was a bicycle expert. So I went through my whole bicycle with little wrenches and tightening everything up, and you know, and then he invited me over because he was managing a pub on his off duty, and he invited me over for dinner on his shout, and gave me a place to sleep, and then off I went again in the morning. Yeah, it's just, I think everyone, when they see someone trying to live in harmony with the earth and the spirit of love, they want to support it. You know, I'll bet you anything, if George Bush would have seen me pulling that wagon along the highway, he would have pulled over and give it support. You know, it goes right across the board. It's in our DNA. Hey, wow, look at this, Mark. Watercress. Oh man, that's so good in a salad. I'll just get a bit here. It's under the water. Oh, that's so nice. But hey, you know, you've got to be careful when you harvest this plant, because little snails can live on the root system, and those snails can have parasites that can live in you. So when you harvest this plant, make sure you wash the roots off really well and inspect it for little tiny snails. Okay, but it's really beautiful, and it's in all the creeks. Check this out, Mark. Madera vines covering up the wild amaranth there. There's one other vine in there. This one, which isn't a bush tucker, but this one here, that's Madera vine. And a lot of people don't like that vine because it covers and mats trees and chokes them out, like it's killing this amaranth right here. But it's a beautiful bush tucker. You can actually eat it raw. Just eat the leaf like that. But it's really nice steamed too as well, like a big pot of spinach. And it's everywhere. It's all over the place. And you can also use the vine for weaving. So it's a great weaver. So that's another use for that vine. And here we go. See how it's up in the trees? Going up the trees there, and it's choking that tree out. So when you harvest it for fibers and food, you're actually helping other trees grow. You can see all those tubers hanging off of the dead vine there. Every time one of those falls to the ground, it grows another vine. And so you can just take as much as you want of this, and it's not going to hurt anything. In fact, it's going to help the native plants and other things growing around it. And look at this beautiful wild amaranth here. All these leaves are edible. The whole plant's edible. You could gather these seeds and sprout them. See all those little tiny seeds? They're kind of like alfalfa sprouts. You can put them in a container, soak them up for overnight, and then drain the water off and sprout them just like any sprout. And these leaves are beautiful, and there's so many here. And you'll find this plant, there's quite a few wild amaranth species in Australia, and you'll find it almost everywhere you go in the bush. You'll find one of these species. That's the leaf. There's the back of it, so you can see the veins. And that's how it flowers. You get this little It's a pretty easily identifiable plant. There's a whole salad just in this small area right here. Hey Mark, look, we got the farmer's friend here, which we showed you in the first documentary. We got the wild amaranth and the Madeira vine. Here's some nice leaves, Mark, of the Madeira vine. Let's harvest some for some lunch today, eh?
Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about hurting this vine. Like if this was a native vine, you'd be a lot more careful with it, because most native vines aren't actually strangling everything out of control like a weed. So this vine is. There's no possible way that you could get rid of it without chemicals, I reckon, or lots and lots of effort. Because every time you drop one of those seeds, which I'll show you, let's grab one. That's the aerial root system of this plant. I'm sure a lot of you have seen it around. And every time the vine dies and dries out, it drops those things and grows a whole other plant. And there's hundreds, thousands, millions of them everywhere, so really impossible to kill the plant. But it's a great food source. I mean, you can gather up heaps of it in a really short time. So a really good food source with very little effort. Boom. Okay, there's a tuber, and I've just read that you can eat this, but you don't want to boil it because they reckon it tastes like snot and has the same consistency of really mucus type stuff. And it's a real turnoff. But they reckon if you roast it, it's delicious. So you might have that a go if you're in a survival situation out there.
Okay, the situation is that I'm the guinea pig. Coa's actually cooked a lovely dish for me, which is roasted roots from the Maderia vine and the leaves. I don't know if you can see that, but we've got the leaf and we've got macadamia nut type of sauce, is that right?
Yes.
So I'm going to give it a go. Not bad. Not bad. Not bad at all. It's very nutty. Little tubers are nice.
Do you need to peel them or?
No.
Okay, well if you're still alive in the morning, we'll go ahead and put this in the documentary. Yeah, this plant has a lot of medicinal value too, Mark. It's an anti-inflammatory, and it's also excellent for the liver.
Really?
Yeah, they've done lots of studies on it because ancient cultures have used it for thousands upon thousands of years. So you know, there you go.
I'm eating some health.
Yeah, when you're in the bush and you want to know if a plant is edible or not because you haven't seen it in the Bush Tucker books or whatever, you know. This is a test that you can put it to, and it'll tell you whether it's actually edible or not. You only test one part of the plant at a time. In other words, either the flower, the seed, the root, or the leaf, the bark, etc. So just one part of the plant at a time. Break the plant into its basic components: leaves, stems, roots, buds, and flowers. Smell the potential food part for strong or acid odors. Keeping in mind smell alone does not indicate the plant is edible. Do not eat for 8 hours before starting this test. During the 8 hours you are abstaining from eating, test for contact poisoning by placing a piece of the plant part on the inside of your elbow or wrist. 15 minutes is enough time for a reaction to happen, so even just crush it and then rub it into your wrist. During testing, take nothing by mouth except for pure water and plant part being tested. Select a small portion of a single component of the plant and prepare it the way you plan to eat it. Before putting the plant part in your mouth, touch a small bit to the outer surface of the lips, testing for itch or burning sensation. If no reaction after 3 minutes, place the plant part on your tongue, holding there for 15 minutes. If no reaction, thoroughly chew a tiny bit of the plant part, hold in the mouth for 15 minutes, do not swallow. If no burning, itching, numbing, stinging, or other irritation occurs during the 15 minutes, swallow it. Wait 8 hours. If any ill effects occur during this time, drink a lot of water and induce vomiting. If no ill effects occur, eat half a cup of the plant part, prepared the same way. Wait 8 hours. If no ill effect occurs, then the plant part, as prepared, is edible. Some plants have both edible parts and non-edible parts. Don't assume that a part of the plant that proved edible means that all of the plant is edible. Okay? There you go. That's a universal edibility test. Hey, wow, look at this bush tucker, Mark. Clover. Look at this. You can eat all the clovers. There's a red clover and a white clover. I'm pretty sure those are the two main ones. And clover grows everywhere I go in the bush. It's a beautiful one. And you can eat the stem, the flower, the roots if you need to. And look, see how it's all spread through here? You could get a really good feed off those leaves. That's excellent. This is a nose flute. A lot of tribes had flutes that when you were growing up in their tribe, like the nose flute is from the Polynesian culture. And when you were growing up in their tribes, you needed to learn how to make the flute and play the flute. Because when you got interested in girls, you'd sneak up on where she's picking her berries or fishing or whatever she's doing, and you're hiding and you play her a tune, a melody, a love melody. And because you grew up together, she'd know who was playing the flute even though she couldn't see you. And if she wanted to be with you, she'd play her flute back. And so it sounds like this. And needless to say, they didn't let other people play their flute. A nose flute is a personal instrument. You don't let other people play it. Hey, look, check that out, Mark. There's a bush lemon. I find those all through the bush in Australia, especially the limes, the finger limes, black finger limes, and I think there's a couple of other different colors like green and red even. But yeah, beautiful to flavor foods and get a bit of vitamin C hit from. Yeah, they're a bit high and not quite ripe, but hey, look at this, Mark. There's one ripe one on the ground. Perfect, eh? Awesome. Let's grab lunch. Okay, well, you remember in the first documentary, we went out to harvest a bulrush and didn't have a digging stick with me, so we weren't able to get it. And, you know, mainly I've only harvested it around like ponds and dams, and it's quite easy to just pull it out with your hands. So that's why I didn't have a digging stick. But when it's growing in a swamp situation, well, obviously you need a digging stick, so we're making one here. This is off of a fruit tree. I think it's a custard apple that was pruned the other day, so I just got it, and it was a perfect shape because it's got a bit of a curve like a shovel blade, and it had a knot here where I can carve it out, and then I can get my hand down there and it won't slip, or I can actually put my foot on that and push it into the ground like a shovel. It's got a nice handle on it. It's about 1 meter long, and you can see how big around it is in relationship to my hand. So we'll just finish it up here, and then we're going to go harvest some bulrush properly and show you how to make bread. Oh, great. Look at this, Mark. We found some bulrush here. Looks like we should be able to get that pretty easy. Just make sure there's no snakes. You know, the red-bellied black, this is the perfect territory for the red-bellied black. Their main food is frog eggs. So they like to hang around these ponds. Slowly go in here because I don't want to sink up to my neck. I got my digging stick this time, so get right down in there. Get right down alongside the plant. Push it in, and then pry it out. I might have done it. Yep. And that's how easy it is. That's that starchy base that we're after. I'll get a couple of those because we're going to make some bread. Now I'll just grab some of these flours, which we're going to mix this flour into the bread. Here's one that's going off. Y'all know that plant. Beautiful bread it's going to make. That's the white starchy base that we're after. And, you know, that reminds me that all plants that are native to Australia that have a white starchy base and it grows in the water and the leaf comes up out of the water, it's edible. All native water plants that have a starchy white base and a leaf above the water are edible. And what you're after is the carbohydrates in that bit right there. So to transport this, I'm just going to cut all the leaves off, and I'll come back and get those to weave a mat out of. So we're just cleaning it up here now, getting down to the starchy bit. And you have a taste. It's pretty good too, raw, Mark. Have a taste.
Tell me.
So, you know, if you didn't have a fire and you're out in the bush and you come across the bulrush, which is one of the most common plants in Australia, it grows all over the place. Like when you look at a bush tucker book, like say from Tim Lowe, and he's got a section there on bulrush, and he's got a map where this grows. It covers the whole of Australia. So it's a really important plant to know, and like I said, it was a main staple for the Aboriginals in a lot of Australia. And if you come across it and you don't have time to make a fire, or you don't want to make a fire, whatever, you can eat it raw, and that's important to know. You could eat that whole thing raw.
It's nice.
You like it, Mark?
Yeah, I'm surprised at just how many things taste okay.
Cool. Okay, so we'll get it down to...
It's hard to describe though. Like it's got its own taste. It's not offensive.
Yeah. So to make dampers, we got it here like this, and we just take a rock, it fits nice in the hand, start smashing it. Just squeeze it out, squeeze out all the soft stuff from the fibery stuff. Let's open it up. And that just mashes up, it's so tender. Let's clean this up a bit more. You know, another way I've seen it done is just setting that around the fire, and it oozes out the ends. And then it's already half cooked, and then they just quickly and chuck it in the fire. But that takes a lot longer. In fact, my fire went out. Oh well. I might have to go get some firewood, actually. Because all I want is the starch. I don't want any of this fiber in there. Okay, here we got the flour now, and we just take it apart. See how fluffy it is? It's just at the right stage, actually. It's not too fluffy, but fluffy enough. And we just mix that up with the starch I just pounded out of these roots. You know, the Aboriginals lived here for a long time, and over that period of time they realized what foods to go for, what foods kept them vital and healthy, which ones had the most nutrition for the least amount of effort. And if this was a staple through a lot of Australia, then you know that it's really nutritious. Or at least I do. That's my conclusion. You know, if the Aboriginals decided that it was good for them and for their whole tribe, then it must be good for me. It must have lots and lots of nutrition. That's what I reckon. So let's see how we're going here. We just mix this starch up with this. You know, and if you're harvesting this and you don't have the flour because it's not the right time of year, well, you can make the bread without it. This just makes it a bit lighter and gives it a nice flavor. Let's mix it right in. Now, if I wanted to, I could put, I've got a herb garden here, I could put a bit of basil, a bit of chives, a bit of oregano, whatever I wanted to. But just out in the bush, it's just this, and it tastes beautiful. You don't need to do any of that other stuff. So that's like one biscuit right there. Now I'll just go get a bit of banana leaf, or if I was out in the bush I'd use native cordyline, palm lily, broadleaf palm lily, or some other kind of broad leaf to wrap it up in and put it in the coals. Okay. Okay, we got a nice little package there. And we'll just take some banana fiber, wrap it up. Okay, so that's like one biscuit. If you were going to make it for your family, say you got 3 kids and a partner, you'd have to harvest probably up to 30 bases of the plant. That would make each of you a couple of biscuits each. Okay, well, we still got a little bit of a fire here from this morning, which is perfect. So we'll just spread the coals out a little bit. Make a little indention there, like that, because that'll be pretty hot from all those coals, that rock, and we'll just put it in there. Cover it up with those coals that are left. And we'll just maybe sit down and have a drink of water and wait for 20 minutes. There we go. Okay, Mark, I reckon it's about ready. It's been about 20 minutes. So we'll just uncover it there. There it is. Roll it out of the fire. Don't do this at home, folks. You might burn yourself. No, just kidding. Okay, there she is. Whew, whew. Pretty hot. Okay, let's bring it back over here. There you go, Mark. Pretty hot. I would really suggest that you let it cool down before you eat it, and really savor the taste, because it's awesome. It's a really
very unusual. That's nice.
Okay, it's pretty
Nice
much
like meat. Yeah. It's very nice. In a really unique way. How to describe?
Could have cooked for just a little bit longer.
Really?
And it would have been just a little bit more tender, but it's really nice. So there we...
It's really edible.
Yeah, and there you go. Okay. Well, we're gonna show you how to make a pair of sandals here today. And we harvested this in the last documentary we did. We harvested this native cordyline. And another name for that, by the way, is palm lily. Native palm lily. And so we're going to make a pair of sandals. Let's see, here's one I've finished already. And that's what we're going to do again. So we've made a rope, which is a bit taller than I am. Can you get that, Mark? A bit taller than I am. And we showed you how to make a rope in the last documentary, so now we're going to show you how to make a pair of sandals out of what we did there. Okay, so first thing we do, I've got this little tool that I've made. That's a stingray spine that I found on the beach up in North Queensland. And I've stuck it into a piece of tortoiseshell bamboo and made a little case for it. And that helps me with my weaving. So I want to open up this rope. We want to make these just the same length, pretty much. Doesn't have to be exact. And I want to run a cord from here across here. So I open it up with my tool. Put a piece of this banana. This is banana, by the way, which will show you in this documentary how to strip the banana tree. This is actually the trunk of the tree. Then I make my rope. And I'm going to make it the width of the top of my foot there. So it's, lay the rope down, put your foot in there, and this rope that I'm making, I want it to be the width of my foot over to here, so I have just a little bit more to go. It's probably good. Now I'm going to open it up over here. My tube go. You can also open it up by just twisting the rope in the opposite direction of which it was twisted into rope. And that opens it up as well. So I actually don't really need this at the moment. Now I'll just stop there on that one. And then I'll measure my foot again. Because my foot will go right up to there and back to here. So I want a cord going across there. Just there. Now I've got a rope going across here where my top of my foot's going, and a rope going across here where the bottom of my foot's going. Let's see if it's right. Pull this back, yeah. Okay, now I'm going to run strings this way, vertically down the shoe. What I'm basically doing is making a loom to weave on. So see, I've got one across here, one across here. I'm going to run vertical ropes here, and then I'm going to fill it in. That's how we make the sandal. Okay, see how we're filling it in? I make the rope over to here, open it up, go around, come back, go around the vertical, open it up, go through, back, weaving back and forth until I have the whole sandal filled in. See, I've woven that whole thing. I've woven the sole. Now these cross like this on the back to hold the heel in, and then they pick up this rope here in the front. Wrap around your ankle, come back and tie. Your best shoe is actually your foot, the soles of your foot. And the more you walk barefoot, the more callous they get. So that you can, it becomes quite comfortable to walk out there barefoot. And having these kind of skills, I can make these out of leaves, barks, roots, all different kinds of materials. And so whenever I need another pair, it's always there in the bush, and I just weave them up. I just stabbed myself because I didn't put, oh, here it is. See, I made the cover so that this doesn't happen. I had it laying down there without the cover, and sure enough, there we go. I got a big hole in my foot. And well, I got banana here, so that's good. And banana's got 52 antibiotics that modern science has actually synthesized from the banana tree. So there's antibiotics in the. It's a clean wound. It's bled out good. And I'll just wrap it up with this banana. It's a bit. Yeah, see, if you were in the bush, all the native fig trees, and there's heaps of species, and they'll be there everywhere you go in the bush here in Australia. And the bark from the saplings, the young trees, or if you can't find a young tree, you just take it off of one of the limbs of a bigger tree. And again, there's heaps of antibiotics in there to keep bacteria and stuff from attacking the tree. And so yeah, you just take some bark from that, or native hibiscus, or if you've got banana's really good, and you just wrap it up to hold the the wound together, because I've actually, it went in pretty deep and split it open quite a ways. So I'm going to hold it together with this banana, probably for a couple of hours is all it takes, and then I'll take it off and let the air get to it, and it'll heal up pretty fast. Okay, look at this palm here. This is the kind of palm I've been looking for here, Mark. It's because it's in between these two sets of palms here. It's never really going to do much. It's going to get crowded out. So we're going to harvest this one to show you how we do that with the heart. Now remember, all the hearts of all palm trees are edible, and that's the undifferentiated leaf. See, I got the word undifferentiated leaf in the heart here. That's the heart. Okay. All right. Now let's get my knife out. Normally I carry a big knife, but my Swiss Army should do it. So we'll just bust it here, and say thanks to the plant for growing up here for us, and hope the spirit goes to the spirit world and comes back as another big palm tree. Cut that off, and that'll mulch up that tree, and we'll bust it. And we'll just peel all this back to get to that heart. Just sort of whittle it. It's an easy way. Let's have a little taste. And we're getting to the heart here. Right there, and I'll just have a little taste, because all the palm trees, you know, it just depends on where it's growing, is how plattable it is. Sometimes they're a lot tougher than other places, and you just really can't tell. It could be one up there is a lot more tender than the one that's down here, but we'll just have a... Oh yeah, that's pretty nice. Here, Mark, have a taste. And see that bit there? Now that's where the leaves are just coming out. Now that's really tender. Now that's really nice.
Pay dirt. Sweet.
It's really tasty, eh, Mark?
Yeah, it is. A unique taste too.
We didn't get much out of this. You know, just a little bit. We ate a bit, but we didn't get much of the heart out of this palm. But you know, normally, like when I'm out in the bush and I come across a bit more healthy of a palm, one that's more fat like this. See, this one here is only about this big around, and the fatter the base is, the bigger the heart. So sometimes you can find a palm that's maybe this tall, 1 meter tall, before the foliage starts, and you cut it down here, and there's a big piece of meat in there. This was just a little bit, but it was delicious. Never take a palm tree because you're going to kill it unless you're in a survival situation. I'm going to show you how to make a ring basket. So basically what you have is 2 rings, and these rings were made from the grape. I've got some grapes growing here by my hut, and I've trimmed them back because they've already produced all their fruit, so you cut them right back so that they'll go again in the spring. And they're quite flexible when there's still juice in them. So I've just taken a length of vine like this and make a ring like this. See? And I've already made this ring, and I've tied it to make sure the ring doesn't slip out. And then I put the 2 rings together So I've got the 2 rings in here like this. Now I'm going to fasten the rings together with this vine. This is a passion fruit that we harvested in the last documentary. And we ate the flower. Remember that? So here we go. So I've come on either side of this main stem, which this will end up being my handle. And so now it's the same thing, under, over, like that. And then I go around the next one. In some schools, they used to teach kids how to make God's eyes. So if you remember that, this is the same concept. And go around each one. What I'm doing is just basically tying these 2 rings together. Okay, I've got this secured here, so these don't slide around. And now I'm going to go over here, and I'll make this my handle. And that'll be the bottom of the basket. So I'll secure this one over here. Like under, over, and then I take my index finger and thumb, spread them out so that they fall on either side of this next one. Under, over, spread them. Okay, see how we put these together now, Mark? Both rings have been woven here and on the other end. So now these don't slide around. And now I'm going to use, this is going to be my handle. So this will become the bottom of the basket. And I've poked one spoke in to the God's eye and over here into the God's eye. So now on the other side of the bottom of the basket, this main one here, I'll stick it in. Just weave it right into there. Like that. Then bend it around and it goes back into here, into the other side. Right, woven into there, maybe come out and back in again, like that. Okay, here's the handle again. This is the bottom of the basket. Okay, now I'm going to weave this in. Alright, we've got some native cordyline leaves here that we harvested last time and heated up over the fire to get all those fibers loose and oily. And we'll just use the whole thing here. This is the rim of the basket. This is the handle. So we'll start at the rim here. Pick up these other pieces of banana that were woven around this way to hold the whole thing together. I'll do 2 twists there. Around the spoke I just put in, around the bottom of the basket, around the spoke that I just put in again, back to the opposite rim, start back the other way. Okay, and that's ending right there. So I'll pick up another piece here, start on the rim, pick up these fibers here. Let's incorporate all those fibers there together as one fiber. See how that's doing? Weaving back to this rim, and then weave back to this rim. Weave from this rim back to this rim until we get the whole thing filled in. Water is so precious. It's, it's the most important thing. If you're already on an unpolluted freshwater stream, river, or lake, then don't go anywhere. because most of the bush tucker grows in and around all fresh water. But if you aren't on an unpolluted creek, or for some reason or another you have to move across country, try to carry at least a liter, if not 2 liters of water with you. And supplement that by collecting the dew in the morning. Just get up before sunrise and wrap your t-shirt or whatever you've got around your ankles. Or you can even just take a t-shirt and go around all the plants and mop up the dew and wring it out into a container. And just keep supplementing that water supply that you're carrying. There's a lot of plants that you can get water from, like the native ginger. You just chew up the stem and spit out the pulp. Also, a lot of trees have roots that you can get water out of, like the bloodwood, casuarina, and some of the gums can be used to squeeze water out of. Saplings of those same trees can be cut at the base at a diagonal cut, where the woody stem meets the foliage. Turn it upside down into a container and let it drain out. Sometimes you can get up to a liter of water that way. And the other thing is, it's like if water becomes an issue, don't walk during the heat of the day. Stay out of the sun and keep your clothes on to hold the water in. Don't eat fats and proteins because these foods require precious water to digest. Don't put any limitations on how long you can go without water. And for instance, like if you said to yourself, I'm going to be dead in 3 days or 4 days without water, well, guess what? You'll die. So plenty of people have survived much longer. Chew up any plants that you know are edible, like ginger, and spit out the pulp. Remember the nature of water. Look for it at the base of hills, rock faces. If you come upon a dry stream, well, follow it downstream. And you're always looking for lush vegetation, especially in the bends, because that's a great indicator that there's surface water just below there. Dry creeks can hold water for long periods of time, up to 2 or 3 months, just under the surface. They'd be trapped between the sand and the clay. But don't dig unless you see that lush vegetation, because it's just a waste of energy. Well, that's it. Walking in the spirit of love and harmony with the earth is my spiritual path. With every footstep, with every breath, as I walk through the bush, and everywhere I go, even in the cities, where I see plants in the sky, the trees, people, I'm walking a spiritual path. Whenever I watch a spider build its nest, it illuminates my soul, and I find a lot of freedom in that. That's my whole journey, to find freedom, the pure freedom that humans need to experience to grow and flower. The Aboriginal people have been a great inspiration to me. Everywhere I go I can feel their presence. Every rock I turn over, every bush tucker that I eat, I can feel their presence all around me. And now what my hope is that all of our cultures come together as one and learn from each other and recreate a tribe. I think it's called the Rainbow Tribe, where people from all over the world, all different races, religions, colors, etc., come together and recreate a new way, a new day that's sacred to all of us. Beliefs can be a dangerous thing. If you believe that in a religion that says that no one else is right and you're right and no one else is, and you're willing to kill people over that, well, I don't know. I don't believe anything on that level. I just leave that door open. I know everyone knows how to love and how to smile and how to be a respectful, compassionate person on this planet. I don't think we need anyone to tell us how to do that. And I really don't think we need religion. When I look out at the world with all the different religions fighting each other and killing each other and raping the earth over beliefs, it makes me not want to have beliefs. My religion is, like I said, with every footstep, with every breath, I just try to be a compassionate, respectful human being on this planet. I hope people really enjoy this video and add it to their collection. This is the 2nd episode, and the 3rd one. And the 4th one we're going to do fire and shelters, so stay with us.
If the dolphins spoke our English, then perhaps the tide would turn. If the trees could sign us language, then the forest would return. If we just listen closely, we may just find that we have no respect in this cosmos, as far as we can see. So look within, find your source, the source beyond all names, and there you'll find all creatures, and you are one and the same. Look within, ask yourself, just what part do you play? And if the earth could speak your tongue, I am. she say? For the planet we reside on, oh, we hold within our hands, and diversity of life is as the writing in the sand, to be blown away forever and never to make tracks again, or to beat upon the glass in a cage for eyes of man. So look within and find your source, the source beyond all names, and there you'll find all creatures and you are one and the same. Look within, ask yourself, just what part do you play? And if the earth could speak your tongue, my yeah, what would